I'm Scott Allen Miller. It is the 15th of August, 2023. This is my vlog of daily life living in Leon, Nicaragua. Today, I'm frustrated by the number of things that have failed with my cameras recently, doing my best to make up for a whole bunch of footage that I shot and lost. So this is kind of a makeup day of frustration, but things are mostly good. Anyway, we're gonna get to the day right after the bump. All right, so I'm gonna start the day with a couple stories of just general frustrations that I'm having. So first, my camera failed. I got in last night, so this is after everything I did yesterday, and discovered as I did uploads all night that tons of the footage that I did yesterday in Granada was all useless. Everything was without audio, and it's a problem, I believe, with my media kit, but it might be the GoPro. Maybe it's just dirty, but I'm having the problem now. You have to start and restart the camera, I'm noticing, and it starts working, so something is seriously wrong. I'm gonna do my best to figure it out. I now have kind of a starting point to maybe take a guess, but that's frustrating. I did like 6 different episode things in multiple locations, both Granada and Messiah, no audio whatsoever. So that very frustrating for me because I put a lot of effort into this, and I know I take a lot of chances. The GoPros have a lot of problems. I don't have backup stuff. There's things I could be doing, and I'm at a point where I need to do some more stuff. I need to make it more robust. That's on me, but it's frustrating that the GoPro has worked so well for so long. That's a funny way to lead into that, and now is having so many problems. So it is what it is, but that is frustrating as a day goes, but it's gonna be fine. I'm doing these videos now to make up for that. So I wanted to talk a little bit about crazy customers just because people have been following the saga. Some of you know that I do consulting, not travel consulting. That I do as well, for sure. Hit us up, info@relocatenicaragua.com. And so my main job is doing IT consulting, and you really get, and some of my viewers are IT people and are like, oh, I feel you. You really get some of the absolute best clients, right? You get these people who are just like, oh, you're here to save us. My gosh, every time I turn around, you're going out of your way to help us. You're doing all these great things. You know all these things we don't know. Sometimes we have miscommunications. We work through it. We say, oh, you didn't do this thing. We go, oh no, we didn't do that thing. Let's go do it, right? Like we fix stuff. Like it's not a big deal. Like very rarely does it ever become a big deal, right? For the most part, especially when you have customers for a while and you kind of get into a working relationship, it's like fantastic, right? Okay, now we're here for 10 years. Everything's good. And you really only run into problems when they hire a new person. They go, we trust this new guy. And the first thing the new guy goes is I've got a buddy who's going to pay me some extra money, so you're fired. And you're like, did we do anything wrong? No, but they'll come up with a bunch of things to yell at you about. And you're like, funny, none of these existed until yesterday, right? And now it's like an ongoing issue and you're gone. And then a month later, you get an email that's like, we're so sorry. What have we done? But you're like, do you want to come back? No, we signed a 10-year contract. There's nothing we can do, right? Every time. Every time. Okay, 10 years is an exaggeration, but you get the point. Every time. Okay, so for those who've been following the saga, one of the things we do, separate from IT, we do web hosting. Web hosting is not an IT division thing. It's just web hosting. We just provide a spot for you to put your website. That's it. The customer who canceled it, and we don't do their IT, they have an IT company, they have an IT manager, they have people for all this. We're not the ones who manage their backups. We're just a web host in this situation. We're not an IT company, but as an IT company, we know what's going on, right? And 16 days and their site is still down. Still no social media. Google's delisted them. Their website is still down, but still pointing to our servers, which they're not allowed to do. Right? So they're still sending traffic to us that they're not paying for, which is technically a denial of service attack, just a really lame one. And obviously we're not going to go after them for that, but they're actually breaking the law technically by intentionally, because they verified that they knew ahead of time. We have emails that show them with their technical people proving it, and now they're still sending traffic to us like, please give us a free website, even though we refuse to pay for it and ask for our money back. Right? They asked for they're so definitive. Still down 16 days. 16 days! Seriously, 5 minutes, you can have this solved. Any competent person just blows my mind. It's funny. For those of you who are following along, I know you appreciate how frustrating it is, and all this over $11. They wanted to save $11. They're like, you will give us our $11 back. We're like, on it. And that was it. And they left. And now they don't have a single person who knows how to host a website. And it's funny. Anyway, today I actually had a pretty stressful day. So I've had, I'm gonna try my best not to get into client details, right? I have a client that's been very high stress, and it's for no particular reason. I can't put my finger on it, but they switched to having us work with their lawyer, and basically they hired a lawyer, and the lawyer took over IT. Right, which was not supposed to be how it worked, and we were brand new. We hadn't even onboarded as their IT yet, so we didn't have access to systems. We didn't have clear guidance. We didn't have like a working relationship. Nothing like that. We had like an email account we could use sometimes, and like it was starting to tell us stuff. I mean, everything was fine. It was just, it takes a little time for a company to get going. And just for all of you who may work with or hire IT departments, be aware that it takes a long time for them to figure out what you want, because clients range over everything you think would be crazy for a client to do, they're used to. And so they don't know what you're going to be like, and they don't know what you have. And this client, for example, told us they had nothing. They said, we were coming into Greenfield, all they had was some email. Nope. They have so many systems that after months, they're still discovering new ones to tell us about. Every time we turned around, it was a new discovery of, oh, here's a system we've had in place since before we told you we even existed. Like they gave us a start date of where the company started, and this stuff actually predates that, and they're like deeply embedded with it. We're like, you told us, like, not only did you say you didn't have things, you said the only things you had and your plans were the opposite of this. So every single step was misinformation. So we were constantly like, okay, you told us the opposite, so we're being thrown under the bus here, but it's fine, it's fine. I guess that's not the right term. We're being thrown a curveball. That's what I'm looking to say. So we've got to adjust and deal with things we weren't planning on. Doesn't cause a problem, not an issue. We know those things are going to happen, but this was extreme, that they're like, we got nothing. Oh, we have a huge IT department with no people and no oversight, and we have all these random people. And so in some cases, they'd be like, we have a vendor doing this. And it would take them like a month, a literal month, to figure out who the vendor is for some really basic thing. And we'd be like, this is nuts. No one knows who your vendors are. What has been going on? Why did it take so long to bring on IT? And why is IT not being told that these things even exist? Like, should not be this many surprises in a company of 6 people. So anyway, they brought on this lawyer, and immediately it was very adversarial, and you could sense it, right? Like, it was this expectation of doing things completely different than they had done, and they didn't give any credence to, these are the instructions we were given, and we're following them. It was just angry at us for doing what the instructions were. And I'm sure we screwed up a lot of things too. We didn't work in the way they were expecting. They were looking for different kinds of stuff. There was misunderstandings, I'm sure, right? Like, a lot of this had to flow through me, and I make lots of mistakes. But they're honest ones, I'd like to think. And so it was just, so we lost this client today, and I've been very stressed. Every time I have to work with them, anytime I have to oversee anything, every meeting, there's this vibe of it not being happy, and that makes me unhappy, right? Like, I don't respond well to that. So I've been carrying a lot of like stress about this, because I like doing a good job, right? I want people to be like, oh man, these guys, they did a great job. Sure, they make mistakes. Sure, there's miscommunications, but they try hard, and the stuff they do, yeah, they're actually doing the work that other people are just selling us stuff. These guys actually do stuff. Like, I'm really passionate about what we do, not just what I do, but as a company, what we do. So it's been really meaningful to me over the years doing the company, but I really take it hard when a customer is unhappy, especially if they think like we did something wrong or we're not doing what we're supposed to do, and we're like, for real, it's like, seriously, we're trying, but we don't know what you want. And every time we call a meeting, you don't show up, and like we've not had a response for 2 months. This is the funny thing. I look back after they got rid of us, and I'm like, they're like, people have not been out this much. I'm like, okay, maybe they haven't been out. They're like, they've been out for 1 week. I went back and looked at the chain of communications. It was 2 months and a day since the last time they responded to us asking how to do anything. Like, could we have permission to do this? Could we work on this? Could we do 2 months and a day? And the only thing they said at 2 months and a day was, thank you, sir. It was another week before that, the last time that they actually agreed to anything for us to do. So if you go back in time, we worked for them for 1 month to the day. The entire month was us going, okay, you said you don't have this, now you do. Okay, can we get access to that? You don't know where it is. Okay, go look for that. And like, that was just this constant back and forth of trying to get us access so we could figure out what we were working with. And before we got to the end of that process, communication stopped. And now they're saying, oh, you guys never do anything, you don't work on anything. And I'm like, You stopped us at this date, and every complaint you have is based on the stopping us after that date. There were some other complaints that were all like, I went back in the chain. I'm like, here's where you said this is what you wanted. Here's what we gave. And now you're saying you're firing us for this reason, that we did the thing you said you wanted. And here's where we came back to you and said, are you sure you still want this? And you didn't have any changes. Yeah, so I've been stressed about that. And that's me complaining a little bit. But here's the good part. We're like, I go to accounting and I'm like, how much is this going to hit us that we're losing this customer? It's a good sized customer in a way. And accounting goes, who? It turns out we made the mistake of never putting them into the accounting system. So we now have to go back and back bill them for not that much, but for a few months of doing this work, and they triggered us billing them by firing us. So not only do I not have the stress of having to deal with them anymore, but instead of losing money that we've been depending on, it turns out they owe us money we didn't know about. So it ended up being a pretty stress-free day, other than the camera losing stuff at the beginning of the day, which I can live with more or less. We're going to find ways around that, and I'm being much more diligent about watching the camera. So that was just that part of my day. It's a Tuesday, by the way. And so at the end of the day, I have to say, I think it went pretty well. Bit of stress in the middle, not happy about the camera stuff, but more or less a good day. Now we're getting some videos done. We're going to see how the rest of the day goes, but I think we're going to get there. We're stepping out of the hotel here right on the main plaza. That is the Basilica, the cathedral across the square right there. Gorgeous. You cannot miss it. The architecture, based on the architecture of southern Spain in the region around Granada, is just amazing here in the city. This is not original, of course. The city was burned down in the mid-1800s, so all of these buildings are reconstructions, but it is still very beautiful, and they are quite old. Like, this is not a modern reconstruction, but it is within the last 200 years. As we walk through the crowd here, coming off the square, we're coming towards the parade route. So the actual square is not on the route per se, but the parade goes by it on either side. You can see just how deep and massive the crowd gets here, and how many people are actually in the parade route. It's not just that you're on the parade route, but thousands of people actually get onto the route itself, which is very cool that you have this wandering, drunken menagerie going on of humanity, but also it gets in the way and can be very difficult for the parade to move forward because there are just crowds in the street who are often completely unaware of what is going on with the actual formal parade. The stand here that we're coming past, you can see into a little bit of the one on the left. These were more like shops selling beer, but this one is more of a stage that you can sit on to observe, and you can see the upper decks of the hotel there across the way. People are out there everywhere. If there's space, people have gone in, but these big stands get set up, and dozens or scores of people book space and end up in these kind of observation posts watching the parade go by. So that's very popular, as is moving along with the parade route, as is just getting on the street and seeing what you can see. So for those who have not seen the Hipico previously, this is a horse parade fundamentally. So it is the ranches, the big horse farms, whatever around the country have these show horses that they prepare, and they come out and they do this circuit throughout the summer. So this is our fourth for the year. I'm hoping to do at least one or two more there. A lot of fun. Like, seriously, we really enjoy doing these. It's a great cultural experience, but as locals, it's a great way to get out with loads and loads of the community and do something very community oriented in a huge party on the street. So it's kind of like a parade. It's kind of like a horse show. It is kind of like a massive block party that covers the city. So if you're going to be out here in the summer, and I mentioned this before, this happens primarily during the slow season. You can see we're making our way against the parade. That was very difficult. We had to get to where we thought we were going to be starting filming, and then things didn't work out as we had planned. So this was kind of us positioning ourselves to be able to record the Hipico, and our planning kind of fell apart on this particular city just because there was an emergency and we couldn't with someone else, and it just changed what our plans were. So we were scrambling at the last second because we thought we knew what we were going to record and then did something different. So this is us trying to figure out what we were doing. But I think it gets a really nice view of the city. I want to do a lot of walking. Granada, and kind of with this view actually is kind of neat. And I like how we're able to, with the 360 cam, the Insta360X3, we're really able to get in with the horses quite a bit. I think it provides for some cool looks. You can see me walking by there, and from time to time you can see the girls going down the street as well. But the number of crowds, and this is early, right? The one thing I dislike about the Hipico is they start pretty late in the day. It's rare that you'll see them moving before about 3 o'clock, and that doesn't leave very much time, because if you're used to American parades or North American parades, they tend to not take very long. Where they start, and the amount of time it takes to pass any given point might be 30 minutes. And it would not be surprising to have a parade that is much shorter and only take 10 or 15 minutes to go by. Now we're on the GoPro and more at street level. And so if you stand by the side of the road, the parade starts at 4. It's going to start within 5 or maybe 15 minutes of when they say it's going to start, and it'll all come by in about 30 minutes. And you don't move with the parade. You just let it go by, and then you go to whatever party or whatever, or go about your day after that point. But here, because people move with the parade, they make the parade route exceptionally long, and it goes all over the city. And it's really incredibly interesting, and it's so big, but it moves so slowly because there's massive amounts of space between the different floats, or in this case horses, or whatever that's going on. So sometimes you end up like you see here, you can have the street be basically empty, or people that are selling ice cream or soda or beer going down the street, and just people basically shopping in the middle of the parade route, whereas in the United States it would always be something organized in the middle of the street, and the horses or the floats would ever be back to back. There wouldn't be an open space between them. So this makes for an incredibly long parade experience, which makes it more of a roaming party. And so the people on the sides have a tendency to set up, and any given point may have the parade going by for an hour or 2 hours, and anyone who's in it may be in it for 3 or 4 hours. It gets really crazy. It can take hours potentially to go along the entire parade route, which makes it exhausting, but it makes it really interesting. But the reason that I was bringing that up, the thing I was saying, is that because they start around 3, this is the thing I don't like. I love all that they start at around 3. As someone who's filming this, we only get kind of the first little bit of the parade where we have good light to get really good footage. And so we're scrambling to record right at the beginning, and by the end it's essentially all in the dark, and anything that I would film would be quite a bit less interesting. There just isn't the detail, and it doesn't look as good. And people start heading off to other parties or to dinner or whatever. And there's a lot of people, you do this and then you go get lunch, and you do this and then you go get dinner, and all day you're drinking at different things or whatever. And then at night, once you're done with dinner, then everyone finds a place to go, and there's a big accumulation of party. And there you can see me and the crew. We're all in our shirts from the vlog. So excited that we have these shirts now. They're so cool. It is a lot of fun. I'm actually in my Nicaragua shirt, and the girls are in my vlog shirts, which so many of those are being given out. Everyone loves them so much. I'm so happy with how they look, and it's just cool. On the left, I'm going to show this. This is a really good example of a restaurant that just sets out tables and makes it like a big thing. They have their own live music, so it's like an event to go see a band that you like, and people just pour out of the bar, and they just get packed, and it's so much fun because everyone's out having a good time, and it's the whole community, and it's these people who come from other cities and do the parade. It's like a combination of a giant block party for your city, but also combined with visitors from all over the country coming to join you. So it's a very uniting all Nicaraguan activity where just people from all walks of life are able to come out, and from all different cities, and find places to go. There's so much available, so much is done, so much is sponsored, that if you're looking to spend money, you can go to nice restaurants, you can get tons of beer, you can go out and do all kinds of partying. But if you're looking for something very affordable, all you have to do is get there, stand on the street, and there's going to be so much going on that there's always something to do. Walking with the parade, watching the parade, looking at the horses, going to find the floats, whatever. And a ton of things are sponsored. So like Tonya comes out and puts a ton of money. I cannot believe how much the National Brewery spends on this particular event. It's a marvel to see the investment going on for such a thing that we would never think of back home in the United States. I can't imagine being back home and having people go, you know what we're doing this weekend? We're going to the giant drunken roving horse parade. Okay, now I can't imagine them saying that, but if there was one, I can't imagine people being like, we're definitely going. Right, hop in lizard, we're going to the horse parade. It would happen, but we just don't have those things. I can't imagine where that's going to happen like this, and that this happens every weekend in a different city all across Nicaragua, and once in a while even during the middle of the week. Like, the whole thing is truly amazing how it works and all comes together. And it's just completely unique. So now this is the Calzada. We came out here. This is the big pedestrian way. And obviously we've been out here for a while now on the video. This is in Granada, one of the things that makes Granada incredibly unique within Nicaragua. You'll notice we're off the parade route, right? So the parade route comes near this, but you can see this is all set up. It's all sponsored, and tons of DJs, tons of live bands, tons of music, and the people. This is a lot of people, and all the restaurants you see on the sides, they're full too, with people indoors. So you're seeing just, the outside portion of a very large number of people, and under normal circumstances this is busy, but not this busy. And I will note, where those girls are dancing, that is new tile work that just went in a few months ago. It is beautiful. It does take up a bit of space though, so I don't know if it really makes sense the way they did it, but it's absolutely gorgeous in the middle of the pedestrian way. But so they shut this off from cars, and you're able to walk through all this, and it's just lined by restaurants and bars and some shops and ice cream places and whatever all through this zone. And this is unique to Granada. You're never going to find anything like this in Leon whatsoever. There's nothing like this in Matagalpa or Esteli or even Managua. This is a Granada thing, is what they're really known for. And you can see the cathedral at the end of the street just barely. So this is east of the cathedral, or behind it, as we think of it in normal Nicaraguan parlance. It's actually Arriba but it's weird that Granada has Arriba, but it goes towards the lake. Abajo is actually into the main city itself, which is the opposite in Leon, but it's just because of the way it's laid out with the lake. It kind of has to be that way. And that is the Hotel Ruben Dario there in the back. So the city is known for this beautiful restaurant and outdoor area with no cars, and it is, if you're a tourist or even a local, it is where you go. So that is our tour of the Hipico. We are going to put the raw footage up on my raw footage channel. We did have another episode where we talked about our day doing this, but I wanted to just take some time and show you the really cool Hipico footage that we had. What a beautiful day we had in Granada. Thanks for joining me. If you'd like to support the channel, right there on the screen, you can buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Scott Allen Miller. That comes directly to me and helps make trips like this possible for us to get out and film things for you. I really appreciate so many people have been sponsoring the show. It's very touching how much people have taken the time to do that. I know it takes money and it takes time, and wow, thank you so much to everyone who has done that and helped make this possible. And for anyone who's looking for assistance with relocation, you want to learn more about Nicaragua and you need to talk to someone one-on-one, get time with my team, hit up that email there on the screen, info@relocatenicaragua.com. That is the actual email address. Just email us, and we'll take a little while getting back, but we will do it. And thanks for joining me. I will see all of you tomorrow.